Welcome to Friday Fire with Dr. Keisha B. Spivey, where you discover how to live life on max in Jesus.
Excited to have you tune in to part one of Are You Listening?
I want you to turn in your Bibles with me to John 10. Oh, he's so good. I was so fired up. My husband asked me this morning, are you doing a PowerPoint? He said, 'cause I don't know how in the world you going to point all that power on the paper. Because I've been preaching to him. And so he's been the only one getting it. But he was like, okay, my wife's back. John 10, and I'm going to be reading to you, because look, even preachers can go through wilderness seasons. Look at here, where you know you doing what God says do and stuff ain't looking like you thought it ought to look, and you wondering, what in the world going on, God? I'm being obedient to the best of my ability. But then sometimes you got to steal away and hear his voice. And some of us, not just preachers, but preachers are the most likely candidate because we get so busy preaching and ministering to you that we sometimes don't take care of what we need. Amen. Then the vessel starts getting empty. And you're hearing because you're anointed and you are appointed. So you hear the words and you're getting and able to do what God says do. But the truth is you're not doing it in the power that it's anointed. And it's doing what he sets it out to do because his word doesn't return void. But the vessel that's delivering it is not operating out of a level of power that it needs to be coming from. That's why we got to steal away. My husband probably be stealing some maybe every 30 days. I might get a trip now because I just needed some time. Amen. You need some time. Amen. You need some time so you can hear. Time to hear. John 10, 1 through 5, and I'm going to read verse 27. It says, most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But this is where I wanted to get to. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. Say, hear his voice. Hear his voice. And he calls, say, call. His own sheep, say, you, by name. And he leads them out. And when he brings out his sheep, say, I'm his sheep. He goes before them, and the sheep do what? For they know what? Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. The problem is, as sheep, we've gotten more familiar with the stranger's voice. We've been more concerned with the cares of this world and the voice of this world than the voice of heaven. And we're allowing the cares of this world. We're allowing the deceitfulness of riches. We're allowing what other people are saying and doing about your life to speak more into you than what the voice of God is. And because you've heard, the voice that you hear the most becomes the most familiar. I don't have to see my husband's face to know it's his voice. I don't have to look at my children to know who they are. The familiar voice stands out to you. And the challenge is, if you have not been spending time communicating with him, you're not recognizing his voice. So the voice that you are hearing is the voice that you are following. Verse 27 says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Let's read that together. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, for they follow me. Here's the thing. If you're not sure right now whose voice you're following, I think you need a check. Because there have been times where I was being led by the wrong voice, called pride, called self. And I wasn't leading it or being led on purpose. I didn't realize it. But if you're not tuned in at the level that you need to be tuned in, you'll find yourself deceived. Don't look at me like I'm the only one. Don't look at me like you have never made a bad decision thinking you were making the best decision, but you didn't ask God. You just figured out what your bill said you needed. How many times have you taken a job just because the pay would cover your outgo? How many times have God told you to take a pay cut or to let go of something, but you're like, wait a minute, car payment. You superseded his voice with your voice. I love that the word compares us to sheep. It doesn't compare us to lions. It doesn't compare us to bears. It compares us to sheep. So I Googled sheep characteristics. This is not Bible. This is not anything. This is Wikipedia, Ask.com. I went through all of what the world's search engine said about sheep characteristics. Because if you look through the Bible, there are about 1,000 references to sheep. Lots of sheep. And when you look it up, the first thing is that they're vulnerable and ignorant. First thing, they are vulnerable and ignorant. We are vulnerable and we are ignorant. We're ignorant to the enemy's devices. We're vulnerable to our own temptations. Stay vulnerable and ignorant. And if you don't want to say it about yourself, look at your neighbor. Check this out. This was Wikipedia. Y'all, my students in school, you know Wikipedia where you go to get anything. Answer.Google. Wikipedia said their best water source is early morning dew. Early morning dew. Think about manna. When did it fall? But see, here's the thing about us. We want to lay there till we just got to have to positively, most definitely got to get up. So the dew done dried up by the time you get to work. That morning where you should have first opened up your eyes and said, good morning, Holy Spirit. I stretch out my hands to you. Lead me, guide me today. My life is not my own. Who do you want me to touch? Who do you want me to call? Who do you want me to bless today? What's my purpose for this day? For this is the day the Lord has made. I'm going to rejoice and be glad in it. Amen. By the time you go get to do it's because somebody done got on your nerves. You don't want to sip a doo-doo. You ready to cuss somebody out. Then you're saying, give me some dew, give me some dew, give me some dew. When you should have went out that morning. Early in the morning. While it's fresh. Uncontaminated. It ain't been bothered. Ain't nobody tracked through it. It's fresh. That's what it said about sheep. Say baa. Sheep are perverse, stubborn, and they insist on their own way. Keep looking forward. Because you is a sheep. We is a sheep. Perverse. Y'all, anybody in here had a perverted thinking? You know what, let me say, okay, maybe you're not into all that kind of stuff. Perverted thinking is criticism. Complaining. Murmuring. Backbiting. Gossiping. Talking about folk. In somebody else's business. Judgment. Stubborn. Look, you don't even know who I am. My way or no way. Sorry. I ain't even open. No, this is the way we always done it. This is how we're going to keep on doing it. Next. Stubborn. Stubborn. Now, I know I'm the only stubborn person in here. But see, the thing about it is I stay on the potter's wheel. I stay on the potter's wheel. So when stubbornness try to show its face, I can just feel him pushing, trying to mold that piece out, rubbing it out. But that's okay. Because guess what? It don't buck up like it used to. And now I recognize it on the front side. It ain't 2 weeks later after I've been pouting like a baby. Insist on their own way. I don't even have to say nothing there. They frequently look for easy places to rest. They're lazy. They're lazy. That's what they said. Wikipedia. Google it. Look it up. They're lazy. The shepherd trying to go and they why we gotta pray, Pastor? Can't you just pray for it? Lay hands. Why we gotta read the Bible? It's all in there. It ain't changed. Why we need to go to the hospital and visit the sick? Ain't nobody come visit me. Why don't you, Pastor, send out a text, pray for so and so and so? I ain't gonna ask you how many of you say okay. And don't. Lazy. You see someone who's got a need and you know you can feel it. And you like, lazy. You see a situation that you can help, and instead of helping, you talking about it. Lazy. Say lazy. But here's the thing, that's a sheep's natural tendency. Creatures of habit, they get in the ruts. This is what Wikipedia said. That's what they say. I'm like, how a sheep get in a rut? So, of course, I had to dig in a little deeper. They want to do the same thing. Drive home to work, same way. Drive to work, same way. This is the way we eat our lunch. This is the way we do stuff. Don't never want to get off the beaten path. Don't want to inconvenience themselves. This is just, I don't have space for that. I ain't got time. Time is a rut. If you ain't got time to be nice and kind to somebody else, you in a rut. Love this one. They need the most care of all livestock. The most needy. Most needy. Listen, and I copied it straight. You know how you go into the stuff? I copied the bullet points. They had about 50. I couldn't use them all. I just picked out the one that just represented the church folks I know. The one that done represented myself. How about this? Don't nobody know nobody better than me. They're totally dependent of a shepherd for every need. They can't make, a sheep without a shepherd can't make it. Because the wolves and everything's sitting there. If they didn't have someone guiding and directing them, they would not make it. Because here's the thing. Do you know the wind can knock a sheep on its back and it can't get up? Wow. It will lay there and die from dehydration unless the shepherd push it back over. They're the most defenseless, weak. The only defense a sheep can do is run. And he can't run fast because he's so top heavy. How often do you see sheep running? You just see that when you see them on TV, they just like, bah. They ain't even got a fast walk. Then this one. They need a rod and a staff for guidance. Rods of correction. The rod and the staff the shepherd carries is because the sheep won't make it without it. And here's the thing. We're going to talk about hearing his voice today. You can't make it without his correction. Because he loves you, he corrects you. Do we understand we sheep? Do you understand you need a shepherd? Who's your shepherd? Now think about all the dumb characteristics we went through that describe us. Point to yourself and say, describe me. My natural bend, my natural tendency, this flesh suit that I live in, that's his description. You can keep smiling, you don't have to own it, but I'm just telling you. At some point or another, you done encountered all of them or some of them. When you think about Psalms 100 verse 3, it says, know that the Lord is God. And I did a study this week. I love when in the Good Morning Holy Spirit, how he talks about the Holy Spirit is Lord. Pastor gonna get into all that. I know it's coming. But when you read the book, he breaks it down. It is he who made us and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. So you were in the pasture of the kingdom. And he's your shepherd that's guiding you because we ignorant, we weak, defenseless, can flip over on our back and can't get back over. It's him. We're in his pasture. And when you realize that it's the Holy Spirit that speaks, directs, guides, and covers us, you have to realize if that's his job and that's what he's doing, if you're not hearing, you're missing. If you're not listening to his voice, you don't know where you're going. You're not listening to his voice because you just a dumb sheep like the rest of us. You have no idea where to go. You have no idea when to lay down. You have no idea when to get up. You have no idea what to put your hands to. You have no idea what direction destiny's in if you're not listening to him speak.
I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. Join us next week, same place, same time. And until then,
may the fire on your altar never burn out.